Hi, I'm Saverio from HoRNet Plugins. Today I'm about to show you how we can mix a house electronic song in the 90s style using our HoRNet plugins. This is interesting because we have a revival of the 90s sound, and back then we didn't have all the technology we have now. So basically what you were doing is to use your drum machine or sample the drums, but we're gonna use the drum machine for this demo. And you also usually take the output, the stereo output of the drum machine and process that because you did not have those large mixers available. So you just do with the stereo output. And then you take all your synthesizers that usually are not more than 2, 3, or 4 synthesizers, because you don't have all the money to buy the expensive synthesizers, and you run them through your mixer without effects, without anything, because you apply effects on the synthesizer itself if you have a digital synth, or it's a clean one if you have an analog synth. And you tweak the equalizer to make everything sound good. You mix the levels. Then you may have some vocals, and the vocals you record them directly onto the sampler and play back the vocals on the sampler, because tape is expensive, and usually when you make an electronic music production you don't have access to large 24 tracks recording machines that are very expensive and only available in pro studios. We are making house music, so we are making that from our basement. And then you record everything onto tools and onto a stereo tape ready to be sent to the vinyl pressing factory. So we're gonna do this mixing process, and we're gonna apply the tape effect afterwards, because when you mix it in that area, you did not mix it through the tape, because tape is expensive. You don't want to write, erase a lot of times. So you are mixing, you are listening through the mixer and then printing to tape. So the final sound will be different from the mix you did. So let's start with each track, and we'll make a quick mix. I already mixed the tracks, so I'm gonna explain my choices in each different tracks, and I'm gonna let you hear how they sound with and without processing applied. So let's get into the DAW. And this DAW is called Zenbits. It's very quick to make. It's a quick DAW to make this kind of quick ideas, thanks to the loop processing and a huge library. So I'm using this for this reason. And we have a drum machine track here. It's a 909. Then we have a bass track, which is a synthesizer. Another synthesizer for the keys, another synth for the pads, and then we have a sample of a female vocal found somewhere on the internet. It will do for our demonstration. So what I did for the drums is, first I let you hear how the sound unprocessed. So it's a pretty raw 909 loop, and we're gonna use an equalizer. Let's pretend we have a good mixer and we are using the SW34EQ MK2 plugin, which is the equalizer from an analog mixer made during the 80s. So it's perfectly reasonable to use that plugin for a track of the 90s, because maybe you had that mixer, you had both that mixer, you had used mixer, you are in the studio and that studio has that mixer, so it works quite fine. So the first thing I did is to set the correct gain staging on the input to just have this +3 lights up sometimes, because I want a little bit of the grits from the mixer, but I don't want to oversaturate that. Then I gave a little bit of shine to the cymbals and the clap to make them more present in the mix. Then I cleaned up a little bit in the mid-range, lower mid-range area, to remove the mud from the lowest frequency of the clap and from the body of the kick, to have a more hi-fi sounding, a more clean sounding track. And then I gave more the thump of the kick, because I wanted to cut through the bass, which is a very deep bass, and I'll let you hear them. So with the processing applied, it sounds like this. Okay, so let's pretend that in our room or the studio where we have the luxury of having a compressor, a stereo compressor, which is a DBX 160, very common at that era. So I have set up the compressor to just kiss the drum and remove 3-4 dBs on the picks to glue them together, and with the compressor it sounds like this. So more glued, the kick is more in line with the clap, and it's an overall better sounding track. So we move on to the bass now, and we're gonna just apply the equalizer because we have just that compressor and we have used that for the drums. Remember, we don't have compressor in every track because we don't have plugins, and compressor costs money. And we don't have the budget, we're making house music, we don't have that budget to have a compressor for every track. So this is just a raw synth with some equalization on it. This is how the track sounds without equalization. So we're gonna use the same equalizer because we are on another track of the same mixer. And of course I have set up the correct gain staging. I give a little bit more or very high hand to the sound because I want it to be in line, want it to be crisper and to be in line with the clap and the hi-hats of the drum track. And then I have gave some dBs to the very low frequency because this is a very deep bass, and I want to use this deep bass as the foundation of the track and leave the kick, the roll of the thump that makes you feel the beat. So it is going to be below the kick. So this is how it sounds when I turn it on. Now we have our keys, which is another synthesizer. It doesn't matter which one. So we're gonna also here apply just the equalizer because we don't have compressor. The same goes for the other tracks. So I will just press play without the processing on, and then I'll let you hear how it sounds with the processing. I have removed all the low frequencies because it was competing with the bass, and I have removed just some dBs from the mid-highs because it was cutting too much through the mix and was a little bit annoying. So you hear it seems like there are high frequencies on this track, more high frequencies, but in reality, I have just removed the bass frequencies, and this allows me to make it cut more through the track without competing with the bass track, and gives the impression of having higher frequencies more present without actually having them. So then we move on to the pad, which is just a string that plays a high note. In this track, I just gave a little bit of high frequency to make it cut more and feel less stagnated, less boxed inside the mix. So it goes like this. And then we have our vocals, that it's a sample, and let's pretend we have the vocalist and she's singing, and we record that directly onto the sampler. So we set our equalizer, our compression, and then we have our sampler recording and playing back. And then we also apply, after the sampler, a little bit of delay from a digital delay unit we have lying around to give it a little bit more space. So first, set up the EQ, of course, gain staging, then a little bit of high frequencies to give the vocals more shine. Then we have some nasal tone removed, also some mudginess from the lower mid-range removed, and a little bit more of weight added to the vocals. So it goes like this. So it's better because the long notes was causing some piercing sound, was annoying, so I removed those frequencies. And then we have our compression. We are in a studio, let's pretend we have an LA2A available, and it's perfect for the vocals. So we're gonna use it to compress up to 6-7 dBs out of the vocals. So these help us make everything sit more at ease inside the mix, because we remove the differences of level from the beginning and the end of the sample. So now it's time to record that into our virtual sampler. And this is an old-Akai sampler. Maybe it's an MPC, so we have 12 bits of bit depth. And then we have a sample rate of 32 kilohertz. And also we have the same sampler in output, so we have the same 12-bit depth. And we don't have exaggerated saturation, because when it's set to 0, it's a regular analog saturation, the one from the input, for the correct input, not exaggerated one, is not absent. So now we have auto oversample that in our case goes to 4 times, because we are at 44K. So let's listen how it sounds without the sampler and with the sampler. On the long notes, you can clearly hear the distortion of the bit depth reduction. And also it changes the tone, because you are reducing the sample rate, so you don't have all the headroom for those airy notes. And so it sounds a little bit more mid-rangey. And it was like this. You don't have a tape to record vocals to, and to sync vocals was very hard to tape. Synth and drum machine to tape was hard. You have to sacrifice one track for the time code. So usually you record it to sampler and then play it back from the sampler. And it was the result. So we also had a delay to give it a little bit more space. And our mix is ready. We don't have more tracks. We have all the synths we need. We have the vocals, we have the bass, we have the drums, we have everything. So it's time to record that onto tape. So the mix is sounding correct, sounding with the air we want, with the tone we want. But once we tape, things changes. So here we are. Our mix is finished. It's a high quality mix for that area. It sounds very analog because we use every analog plugin we could, and it simulates the way we used to work in the 90s and the sound that we used to get out of the gear. So all the plugins you see in this demonstration are available on www.HoRNetPlugins.com, and we have a demo for them, so you can try it out before buying. And of course, we want to hear your feedback. So thank you very much for watching this video.